Whew. After so many years of just being behind the camera, sometimes it's still pretty hard to actually film myself, knowing that my flatmate's just next door as well. So, hello and welcome everyone to this video. Today is the official celebration of 10 years since I've had my scoliosis surgery. So that was back on the 22nd of August in 2011. So back then I was 15 years old. I've actually just decided to take notes on just looking back at what has happened, as well as that going over Facebook and stuff. As with my mother, she actually created a Facebook group, which at the time, just a Facebook group, just showcasing my journey, especially going into the surgery room. So I've got some photos of the before and after, which I'll probably put somewhere up there, but also in case if I'm lazy, so keep saying so a lot. So that was before the surgery. So that was before. There's after. So pretty much the equivalent to Wolverine now. So I've got a titanium rod in my spine. So, and that rod is keeping my back fully aligned. And so with here, I'm just written up just some questions, but I've also posted up on my Instagram feed some questions that some people will be interested in asking. But I'll start off just with basically talking about the experience, or like my own Q&As that I've written down yesterday, just the experience and stuff. For those who don't know, so what is scoliosis? Well, as you see with the images there, or same thing in the video here, just on like a screenshot or something like that. Scoliosis is when the vertebrae or your spine is curved, like the way mine was, and it's actually a genetic sort of thing. So it runs in my family. So if I remember, it runs strongly on my mom's side of the family, but it also runs a little bit on my dad's side of the family. But yeah, so it's mostly a genetic thing from what I know of. When did I find out that I had scoliosis? So it would have been back in near the end of 2010. Actually, maybe even a bit earlier than that, because back in high school, I remember back in high school in science class, we had a Q&A just in terms of like just science and stuff, because we didn't have anything else to do that day. And I was talking to one of my classmates because the one thing I'd been noticing was with my right rib cage, it felt more sticking out than say my left ribs, and that was something I didn't really think too much about. Then near the end of the year, I think I was like getting change, or like I went over to my parents, and then they just noticed, well, okay, how about I don't sugarcoat it? So not sure why, maybe because I want to try and show off if I've got like abs or something like that, just like a young teenager would, trying to show off and stuff. But then instead of that, it was more revealing that I had scoliosis, and my parents were completely shocked, but at the same time they kind of suspected it as well, because they did notice that my left shoulder kept leaning to the side, and hearing stuff like that is very, very stressful. Not just stressful, but like it is quite a shock for most people. And that comes down to the next question, which is how did I feel? Which, again, absolute shock, like knowing this sort of thing to have as well. And that's something I never came across about. Never heard that there was something called scoliosis. So like the whole vertebrae being tilted around as my one did, which was insane, especially being in high school and trying to deal with stuff like puberty and bloody schoolwork and all that type of stuff. So definitely it was a massive burden to take into account. And the real stressing part was knowing that I need to go and have surgery. Then my next question I put down, which is why didn't I document or vlog my journey back in 2011 just for the surgery? So interesting thing, my mom actually, back when I was 15, she actually got me for my birthday this old camcorder, which I've just started to use recently again. But mainly I didn't really find myself fond of filming myself, which especially at that young age, like I just felt uncomfortable filming myself much like I am right now. Still not used to filming myself because it is such a weird sort of thing. But saying that, I did document like a few minor things here and there just before the actual surgery as well. So I got like, snippets and stuff, which is something a bit more comfortable than, say, vlogging or doing all that stuff, which is what I'm doing today. Now, my next question that I've just put down is, what was the most stressful part about scoliosis and the surgery? So the things that were most stressful, especially for my end, was the fact that living here in New Zealand, we have like a New Zealand education standard, much like with the United States with your A's, B's, C's, and D's, and E's, I think. E and F, yeah. Like with that whole curriculum there, like in high school, I was dealing with that. And then, of course, there's also credits as well. So, like, in order to pass your first curriculum in high school, then you need, like, a certain level of credits. So, like, in terms of, like, assessments and stuff like that. Otherwise, you repeat that year again, that type of stuff. So, for me, that was, like, the most stressful part there because since I had that surgery due in August, that meant I had twice, maybe 3 times the amount of assignments that I had to get done before August. And for me, that was like the most stressful part because I just had to, there was no stop, there was no breaks whatsoever. It's just study. Hardly had that much time to actually take a break and actually relax, and because there wasn't really any time for me to relax. And the other one, which also comes down into like another thing I was afraid of, is especially when it came to the surgery itself, definitely one of the big things I was afraid of was what would be the potential outcomes, because especially being that the entire vertebrae has all your nerves, and if something goes wrong, then you could wind up being paralyzed and stuff like that, which was actually almost dodged a bullet there as well. And I've actually got a copy, like a screenshot from what my mum posted up, saying that, I think she put it in one of the comments or something like that, but apparently the surgeons actually lost spinal tracking sort of thing. So somewhere, like it's just I'll just put it down here in the video here. Now, the thing that made me feel comfortable before the surgery, so definitely the main things, and I know it's very cliche to say this, but definitely my friends and families, even my teachers as well, because they've all been supportive. And back then, I was really, really dedicated to the church as well and decided to get baptized. Now, and I know for most people who are watching this, clearly everyone has their own sort of faith or atheists at other beliefs as well, but it's always good to have some sort of hope as well. So like there's nothing wrong with hope, and that there was something that was important to me back then, because going through that much stress as well, then it's better to put your faith in something than just be in that fear. Even a few days beforehand, I actually decided to get baptized as a method of hoping that whatever happens, then, God and stuff would actually look after me, that type of stuff during that surgery. So that was one of the key factors there. Another thing as well that I've noted down, which is a little bit interesting, a little bit humorous, is I've also noted down Captain America, because before I went in for the surgery, I actually went to see the Captain America, the first Avenger movie when it was out in cinema, and kind of gave me a bit of an inspiration, or like the whole concept of like being a hero and stuff like that, and the whole superhero kind of stuff. That's just something that kept me comfortable. So waking up after the surgery, what was it like waking up? So I don't remember too much about the actual surgery itself because I was fully knocked up on drugs, but what I do remember just from waking up is it must have been like the after hours or something like that, or not the after hours, but it must have been like 11 o'clock or something. And bear in mind, the surgery started I think I had the surgery at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then at some point the surgeons managed to lose the tracking. Just something else I'll add in. So originally with the surgery, I was also going to have like a rib removed. Since my right ribs were much, much wider, it meant that my right lung was much larger than that of my left lung, because my left lung was fully compressed and compact just because the ribs and stuff were just closed in, just like a really small cage for a bird. So that one there. Okay, then there was the measurement of my height, which was 172.5 centimeters, or 5'6", and that's before the surgery. Going into surgery, conscious. So what happened during the surgery was they temporarily lost the spinal cord function, and they tried to wake me up during the surgery, which I have no recollection of because I was fully drugged up, so I don't remember a thing there. But yeah, because they lost that, it took them much, much longer. So the surgery was pretty much an entire day, which is no surprise there, especially with the work they had to put on me. Going through my questions about waking up after the surgery. Yeah, so just after waking up, I did have a moment where I kept hitting I believe it might be like codeine or like a painkiller button. So I just kept pressing that to try and relieve the pain and all that, but then I almost got sick in the process. And then just brief moments after that, like just wanting to hurl. That was when I first felt the massive change in my back, where like it was more stiffer, but also feeling the pain in my muscles because they just fully cut open my back, so my muscles were cut open and exposed and stuff like that. So that was where the process of getting that healed up was the big factor there. But the thing that caught everyone's surprise was because the surgery was on the 22nd of August, I started to get back onto my feet by the 24th of August, which was actually, from what the doctor said, is that's probably one of the fastest progress that they've seen from a patient, because most of them would take 3 to 4 days at least, maybe 5 days, just to fully get back onto their feet again. But I just started to walk around the hospital, which was actually interesting. My last question that I have written down is, what have I done since then? So since then, keeping in mind, I do have limitations now with the surgery, so I can't do any bungee jumping or can't go on roller coasters and stuff like that. So anything that's going to be high gravity sort of impact, then I can't really do. Otherwise, it will severely affect my back, especially with the whole shock absorption. So if I'm not too careful, then the impact will actually rattle into my spine, which will hurt twice as much just because I've got the rod in my back. But saying that, I studied in scuba diving. I've done done a diploma in outdoor recreation, been hiking up some mountains, mountain biking, quite a few other things as well. But now, as you can tell with my videos and stuff now, I'm also a photographer based in Christchurch, and I'm very happy with the results and how my life has been going. And also, just to answer some questions, will you need to get retouched or redone later on in life? And fortunately there, I don't need to worry about that, because I know that my spine isn't fully aligned like I'd hope. But at the same time, because my body's finished growing, there's no need to fully any resurgeries and stuff, because I'm at maximum height. And even if my body wanted to try and grow taller, there'll be a bit of that limitation because I've got the rod in my back anyway. But I could definitely understand where you guys are coming from there. But yeah, so I think I've pretty much covered everything there, just for this video. Yeah, thank you all for checking out this video and just my talk for the thing. Oh, I'll also chuck in the video of my baptism from just before my surgery. But yeah, so thank you very much for checking out this video here. If you're about to go through surgery as well, like just for scoliosis and stuff, I'd like to hear your thoughts. And if you have any questions in the comments below, I'm more than happy to answer what I experience and what I know. And yeah, that's pretty much that for today. Also, feel free to check out my website at www.patrickrose.co.nz. I'm always out taking photographs and trying to expand on my experiences. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.
So we were planning for Patrick earlier if we could have Young man, he was like Iron Man. Someone saw him like Iron Man, he was packed into a suit, and he was ready to blast off. And the vision that God is going to give Patrick will really empower his life, and he'll just have an awesome future. Another word was said that he has a real readiness in his spirit, so he's just willing to hear what God's got to say, and then he just wants to go and do it. So that's awesome, bro. The other thing that's was spoken over his life is that that Patrick is a man of courage, and he's called to take down giants. And he's got a heart like David's heart. King David was a giant slayer, slayed Goliath, and he taught others how to slay giants. So that's really awesome. And the other couple of things here that was said was that God is handing you a rose of love. So that God's handing you something awesome, and that there's a red heart of love over your life, and that God's perfect love casts out all fear. So yeah, God is with you, young man, and we just love you, and we just really celebrate what you're doing here tonight. So good on you, Patrick. Step on up there, bro. Got a ladder around, so just wing your way around there. So just those getting baptised, just try and walk up to the front, or else you might find yourself doing a burnout. Awesome, go for it, guys. Go to the side, congratulations, Patrick. That's awesome. So good. Alrighty, so next on the list, I think we're going to do bets.